everyone, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another booktube related tag. I really enjoy watching tag videos on YouTube and I also think recording them is really fun, so I really wanted to do one today. And actually the one that I'm doing today, called the Unpopular Opinions Book Tag, is one of the most fun ones to watch, I think. You know, we usually all talk about all the things that we love in fiction, but this is mainly focusing on things that we don't love as much, and quite frankly, things that we hate. Just a small disclaimer for this video, of course, these are just my opinions, and if I'm talking about a book that you really like, it doesn't mean that the book is not good, or that the series or the author are not good. These are just my personal opinions. Please don't get offended if I mention one of your favorite books. So, I hope you enjoy. Let's start with the questions. Okay, so the first question is a popular book or series that you don't like. I'll put a picture right here with the cover because I own the first book on Kindle, but I don't own any of the other ones and I can't really show you on my Kindle. But it is the Infernal Devices / Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I know this is a really loved YA fantasy series, and it's one of those series that got a lot of new readers into reading, basically. And so that's great, and I appreciate Cassandra Clare writing these, and I'm sure a lot of people enjoy them. However, I read the first book in the Infernal Devices series, and I really did not care for it at all. I have no interest in continuing on with the rest of the Infernal Devices, and even less interest in reading the Mortal Instruments series, because I heard that the Infernal Devices is supposed to be better than the Mortal Instruments, and since I didn't like that, I don't really see the point. It's not that I hated it, I just didn't care at all for the characters, or the story, or what happens next. So, the second question is a popular book or series that everyone seems to hate, but you really love. So I'm kind of cheating on this question, but not really. Instead of talking about a book that everyone really hates, and I love, I don't think everyone hates this book. I think it's one of these books that people either really love, or really hate, so it's a very divisive book. And it's also a book that's become incredibly popular recently because the movie just came out. Can you guess what I'm talking about? So a book that's really divisive, but which I really like, is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This was actually one of the first books I ever read because of YouTube, and so I read it about the time when it came out, and I loved it. It was such an enjoyable read. I read it so fast, and I loved every single second of it. I'm a big fan of video games. I have a VR set up in this room, actually, and I like to play that as well, and so I felt like there was a lot of connections I could make with the world in this. Of course, I was not born in the 80s and I didn't get all of the references in this book, but I don't necessarily think you have to. I enjoyed it just as much without getting all of the references. I just thought it was like reading a video game, and I thought that was super cool, and I really liked it. I have reread it since. I've listened to it on audiobook. The audiobook is narrated by Will Wheaton, and I really enjoyed my second read of it almost as much. I can definitely see its flaws, and I can also see why a lot of people don't like it. Personally, I think it's a joy to read. It's not a perfect book, it has a lot of flaws. This was the author's first book, and you can clearly tell that. I personally believe that people are way too critical of this book, and they take it way too seriously when it's not really a book that's meant to be taken seriously. I got a lot of my friends to read this book because I wouldn't shut up about it, and most of them really enjoyed it. Some didn't enjoy it quite as much. No one really hated it though, but that might have just been for my benefit. So I'm not entirely sure, but I do see a lot of people hating on this book on the interwebs. People on Reddit are especially nasty towards it, but then it's Reddit, so. The third question is a love triangle where the main character ended up with the wrong person, or the person you didn't want them to end up with, or an OTP that you don't like. So I actually struggled a lot thinking of a love triangle that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm not a big fan of love triangles, so I try to avoid books with them as much as possible. And the few that I've read which had love triangles, I haven't finished the entire series, so I can't really say, you know, if they ended up with the person that I thought they should end up with or not, and I don't want to spoil myself just to answer this question. The one I will mention though is the Katniss Gale Peeta love triangle from the Hunger Games. I'll insert a picture of the series here in case you don't know what it looks like. I don't have physical copies of them anymore because I gave them away. I'm not a huge fan of the series. I enjoyed the first book. The second was alright. didn't think the third one was necessary at all, and it made me so mad that I just ended up giving away the entire series. I didn't want to look at them ever again. Again, I don't hate the series, it's a perfectly fine YA dystopian, and the first one was quite an enjoyable read. I just didn't particularly like the sequels. Personally, I thought Katniss should have ended up with Gale, but that's just my opinion. Question number 4 is a popular book genre that you hardly reach for. For this, I think I have to say thrillers / mystery, things of that nature. I read a bit, I read some Dan Brown. I think this can be considered thrillers. Side note, I really hated this one. Other ones are quite enjoyable, again, you know, very commercial, very predictable, very cookie cutter fiction. But I've read all of his books and they were enjoyable enough to read. This one made me rip my hair out, honestly. I got so frustrated with this book. And you know, maybe this is why I don't read many thrillers and mysteries, because Dan Brown really annoyed me with this book. And in general, I just haven't seen any that would interest me that much. I'm trying to read a bit more. I picked up some Agatha Christie recently, and so I'm hoping I will enjoy that. So if you have any recommendations for thrillers / mystery novels that I might enjoy that won't make me rip my hair out of my scalp, something very unlike Dan Brown, then please leave them in the comments below and I will definitely try to check them out. Question number 5 is a popular or beloved character that you don't like. Selena Sardothian, I think is how you say her name, from the Throne of Glass series. I'm not particularly fond of this series. I've read the first 3 books. I have the 4th one. I have felt no desires to pick it up yet, and I don't know if I will. I thought the first 2 books in the series were okay, you know, very typical YA fantasy, nothing really special. I wasn't too fond of the 3rd one. I found myself quite bored throughout it, and in general, I really don't like this character. I think she's really annoying and she's really stuck up, and I just don't like her. I don't really understand why everyone thinks she's so strong and wonderful. I mean, she's badass. I mean, she does badass things. I just think she's annoying. Question number 6 is a popular author that you can't seem to get into. I feel kind of bad for this because I actually think the author is really sweet, but I've read 2 of her books now and I just wasn't really as impressed as I thought I would be. But the author I'm talking about is Nicola Yoon, the author of Everything Everything and The Sun is Also a Star. As I've already mentioned, I already read both of these. These are both YA contemporary standalones. And I see these books praised a lot, and again, I followed the author on Twitter. I think she's very sweet. I like the stuff that she talks about, but I just didn't really enjoy these books. Everything was sweet, but I think I expected a lot more because there was a lot of hype around this book when it first came out, and I picked it up right around the time when it first came out, and I read it in a day. It was a very quick read, but it just left me kind of disappointed, especially, and I think this is really the big reason, is because the plot twist was actually extremely predictable. And in a way, I don't usually mind plot twists that are predictable when I see them coming. This one was, have you seen the movie Bubble Boy? Because, yeah. I didn't enjoy that so much because of the ending. And then The Sun is Also a Star again. It was really sweet. I really liked the characters, but it just kind of left me disappointed. I don't know. And everyone seems to really love Nicola Yoon. And again, as an author, I think she's great, but I didn't enjoy these books as much as I thought I would. And I'm not sure if I will be picking up any more of her books. Question number 7 is a book trope that you're tired of seeing. Okay, so as I've mentioned in the 2nd or 3rd question, I avoid books with love triangles like the plague. I think they can be done okay-ish, but in general, the entire concept of it is just so unrealistic to me. I have never seen real-life people with this kind of problem, and the way some of these books portray these love triangles with such intensity, I think anyone in real life would have given up a long time into the plot. And so I really don't like them, and I would like to see less of them, or I would like to see twists on the love triangle thing. Question number 9 is a popular series that you have no interest in reading. I think with this I'm gonna go with the Red Queen trilogy by Victoria Aveyard. I'll put a picture up here because I obviously don't have it. Everything I see about this series kind of makes me not want to pick it up. I'm sure a lot of people really like it, especially people new to YA fantasy or fantasy genre in particular. But everyone else who reads fantasy on a regular and has read the series says that it's basically just a lot of the best parts of all the YA fantasies mashed into one, and that it's kind of obvious and it doesn't necessarily work, or it doesn't bring anything new or different to the genre, and it's kind of, if you've read all of the other ones, then there's not really a point in reading this one. And again, there's not enough time in the world for me to read all the books that I want, so why would I spend some of that time reading something I'm not interested in? And the final question, question number 9, is, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie. But what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? I don't know how many book lovers I'm going to upset with this. Please don't hate me, but I'm gonna go with The Lord of the Rings. Personally, I love the movies. I think the movies are fantastic. I think the books are fantastic. The series, the world, everything. It's one of my favorite series. However, I think it's incredibly dense and it's incredibly difficult to get through. And it's not a very enjoyable read. The movies have all of the world building, all of the beautiful characters, and I think in this particular case the movies are a better medium to experience the story than the books. I'm not saying don't read Lord of the Rings. Read Lord of the Rings. Modern fantasy does a lot of what this does better and in new and refreshing ways, and because of that I think these are kind of a struggle to get through. Although The Hobbit, the book, is a million times better than the 3 movies. Why even make 3 movies of a 300-page middle grade book? Why? I love the book. The movies, They didn't need to be 3 of them, at least. If they would have condensed it into 1 movie, I think the quality of the movie would have been so much better. We didn't need Legolas. He's pretty, but we didn't need him in there. Okay guys, so those were my answers to the Unpopular Opinions book tag questions. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I post new videos every Monday. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye!